Some of you already know this, and for some it will might surprise you, but I am a writer. Yeah, I've written some short stories. I've written one single novel, a fantasy novel, which hasn't been published, but I still wrote it and I'm very, very proud of it. What has been published is that I have written for some theatre plays. I've written some short films which other people have ended up making. And I've been hired a couple of times as a writing consultant, which sounds very prim and proper, but reality is that people hire me as that because they want advice in how to write for women, how to write good female characters, which I'll think is a kind of stupid thing to be hired for because I'm a female and I don't think I have any trouble writing male characters. But anyhow, I'm going to make myself completely superfluous and completely irrelevant by making a video giving all of the tips I would usually give as a consultant. Or not so much, because usually when I am a consultant I have a piece of work in front of me and I can write down my suggestions. But this is my top 5 tips on how to write good female characters. What you can do to write good characters if you are an inspiring writer. There are no definite answers here, these are just tips, these are just guidelines. You're not supposed to follow any of it, that's not how writing works. It's just, guidelines. Tip number 1: write them as people, not the woman. I know this is a shock to some, but women are just people. And there are many types of people and many types of women people. The best thing you can do to your female character is not to ask what she would do as a woman, but what she would do as a person. Ask what kind of person is she? Young, old, naive, cynical, happy, angry, curious, arrogant. What? What is she? And why is she like this? What's her story as a person? How does she react in different situations? And how would other people react differently? Again, many different kinds of women, and to have more women is the best idea to have more different types. In fact, I think at the moment we are focusing way too much on main characters as women, when in reality, just making sure that the world that the main character inhabits has women in it as the people around her or him is just as important. And for all of these women, still you can have so many different types. You can have the bookworm, the tomboy, the shy one, the fabulous one, the country one, and the funny one. And as you can might imagine, this ties into advice number 2. Tip number 2: read, watch, game, and do it a lot. And what I mean by this is, of course, read a fuck ton of books, watch a fuck ton of television, and play a fuck ton of games. Or just stick to the medium you wish to write for. Then spend some time actually thinking and analyzing. Look at what you actually like and dislike. See if you can figure out why you like or dislike it. Reading things you dislike can in fact be an even bigger learning factor than reading things you like. Of course, the things I would recommend you to watch would be My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and Steven Universe, just for some really excellent examples of a group of female leads with extremely strong individual personalities that interact with each other on very vibrant, frequent basis and are just strong personalities regardless of the gender. But don't just stay with one genre. Expand your view. Never stop looking for new things to look at and learn from. Discuss these things with other people. State why you love or hate it. If you hate it, you can figure out what you would have done differently if you had been the one writing it. If you love it, you can figure out what you love about it and use similar things in your own work. Hey, it's not stealing as long as you are putting your own spin on things. And we'll jump further to tip number 3. Live life to the fullest. Meet people, talk to people, experience people around you, men and women alike. When you are in doubt about environments, ask people from those environments. Ask women about their own environment, though keep in mind you don't have to listen to all of them. Women are different, and there's a difference of taking writing advice from J.K. Rowling or Stephenie Meyers. One is a really good author, the other is really not, and you really shouldn't listen to her. I know there's been a lot of people saying recently that real life tends to copy fiction. I'll say it's the opposite that happens. Fiction mirrors reality. It's your funhouse mirror that you can put up in front of people around you and show what reality is like. And when you write, it is what you have seen and done that is put down on page, creating this funhouse mirror for other people to look at and being reflected by. So if you want to create a great mirror with great characters, male and female, it becomes very important to have experienced the world firsthand. The more women from different walks of life you talk to and get to know, the better equipped you'll be to write really, really great female characters. Tip number 4. Write what you would like to read. This is one of the two biggest mistakes I often encounter from new writers. The first one is people overcomplicating their stories. Stories need to be kept rather simple, believe it or not. The second one here, which is the point, is that people tend to be constantly worried about what other things and try to write to please others, but completely lose sight of what they themselves even like to read or write. If you're constantly guessing what other people are thinking or what they want, you will lose it and it will end up crap. When I am asked about how I can write such funny stories, my response usually just is, well, it's the story I would have liked to read, but no one had written it yet, so I had to do it myself. And as it turned out, it was not only me who found those things a lot of fun, my readers did as well. And having this joy is what wanted me to become even better, go back, learn the tools for overall writing, do rewrites to make my work even better, which brings us to the very last tip. And now listen closely. You will never, ever, ever get a better tip on how to write. Not only female characters, but just writing in general. So listen closely. This is the best tip you will ever, and I mean ever, get. So listen really closely. Are you listening? Are you listening really closely? It's the best tip you will ever get when it comes to writing anything. Just anything. Ever. Okay? Tip number 5. Just write. No, I'm serious. Whatever your idea is, no matter if you think it's good or bad, just write it. You'll only ever get good at anything by practicing a lot. A writer who is quite famous in Denmark called Dennis Jørgensen once said to me very specifically, if you want to be good at lifting weights, you'll need to lift a lot of weights. If you want to be good at juggling, you need to do a lot of juggling. You will in fact need to practice for hours and hours and hours, at least an hour a day. And writing is no different from all of that. The best way to learn is simply to do. Just write. Write until there's no skin left on your fingertips. When you have ideas, write them down. See what you can form into fully fledged stories. Some of it will turn out bad. Believe me, I've written bad stories. But quite possibly, some of it will turn out good, and eventually you'll learn and become better. The more you write, the more you learn about it. Then go out and talk about the writing, talk about the experience of writing with other writers, write the women you want to write the men you want to write the creatures, worlds, feelings and situations you want to write, and just keep writing. And now when I have made myself completely irrelevant, maybe I should go work on my own stuff. Do you want to hear some of it? I can read you the beginning of one of my stories, which I think is one of my funniest stories, with a female lead. And a female lead that I just wanted to write. This female lead, she is in over her head 99% of the time, and she's kind of a slapstick character. I do slap her around a lot, and I am having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, you can try and hear some if it's. Acorn Island was one of the most peaceful islands in the most peaceful ocean there were. It was small, remote. Nothing ever happened at Acorn. It was boring. Or that was how Jenny put it. Surely she was too big and magnificent and warrior of the sea. Her dad was a pirate, one of the strongest, freest people in the world. He was out there, and someday Jenny would be too. That was her dream. How she ended up actually doing it was its own story. And it started a couple of years before Jenny managed to go. The day when her mother, Kaya, brought home a girl Jenny's own age to the mansion.